This is the Business Storytelling Show, a top global marketing podcast listened to in more than 100 countries, live streamed on social media, and broadcast on DBTV. Christoph Trapp chats with industry leaders to help your company tell better business stories.
Hey friends, episode 718. I'm your host, Christoph Trapp. What's good AI prompting? Now, you know what? I just wrote about the whole copyright thing. You know, as long as human creativity is involved, you can certainly use AI for some of your content creation. But to do that, you have to have good prompts. To do that, you have to know what you're trying to do. You have to bend the AI to your will, so to speak. Friendly reminder, we are live on Amazon, so everything you see around me, even my beard coloring and this new shirt I just got from the brand today, I kind of like it. Everything is in the carousel. If you search for Christoph Trapp on Amazon, you will find our live stream there, and you will find our my storefront there as well. Check that out. Any questions, feel free, everybody, to comment. Really appreciate today's guest, Emmanuel Rose, to return to the show. He was on the show the last time when my shoulder was in a sling, when I was recovering from a year of surgeries. New hip, updated shoulder, and what a mess. So he returns, and his latest book is about AI prompt writing. So really interested to find out what his take is. How do we do that better? And not just go to ChatGPT or Claude AI and say, do this, and then if it doesn't work on the first prompt, we'll scream that AI doesn't work. Emmanuel probably has not heard that before, but let's find out. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much, Christoph. It's great to see you, and gotta say you're my podcasting hero in 700 plus episodes. So cool. Congrats.
718 officially, and we're not slowing down anytime soon. Really appreciate that. And of course, your podcast, Marketing in the AI, I'm trying to read it there, in the Age of AI. That's your show. That how many episodes are you into? It seems like you're publishing all the time.
I just crossed the 100 mark, which I did a monologue episode for the first time, and it took me about 4 weeks to conceive of having enough things to say on my own, which I don't know why that was so challenging, but it was a great episode, and I'm looking forward to releasing that one.
I did. I usually don't do single episodes, but I did one the other day. Episode 717 was one by myself, and the only reason here's the reason: I was too lazy to update all the graphics for you and the next guest because they were already scheduled. And the 717 guest, she had to cancel, unfortunately, last minute. So I was like, oh, let's do my own episode. It's much easier than just updating the graphics, right? But
yeah, sure.
Let's just talk about the prompts. Now, your latest book is about how to write better prompts. It seems to me that a lot of people don't quite understand how it works yet. And I'm just like, as I said earlier, like bending the crap out of Claude AI, it's like, no, this way. That's not what I would do, blah, blah, blah. What do you think about this? Check this fact, all these different things. Prompt writing. Give me your philosophy on it.
Well, it is an art, and it's a dynamic art because everything about AI is changing. So what I really do every time is establish the role that the GPT has. So for me, I'm often using that role as a genius health club marketer. Please develop an ideal client profile for prospective Chicago gym members who are professionals. So that's where I would start. You still there, Christoph?
Somehow we lost the connection there for a second. Oh my goodness. But I'm back. That happens. Okay. We'll just cut that out in the live stream. Now, So you would not the live stream, the recording, the podcast episode. So what? So when you start creating prompts, like I'm a big fan of Claude. I have a project, right, for ChristopherTrapp.com, for example. I say, this is the good writing. This is the bad writing. This is how I sound. Review my writing. Let me know how it sounds, so I'm building over time. I'm building like the database, but how do people actually learn that? I mean, I know it's an art and a science, and it's you learn it over time, but how do people even get started to make that work?
So yeah, the most important thing is setting this role for the GPT, genius or expert or world renowned, and then creating some context. So if I'm writing as you, I'd say I have the business storyteller show. It's consumed by small business owners all the way to mid-sized business CEOs and managers. And please reference this material in the past that I've written, and develop a content calendar for the next 6 weeks of blog posts. And so we would establish its role and its context, and then get one answer.
And when you do that, does that work? So if you just have one prompt, one thing, like the thing I found is AI has a lot of weird things I would never put into any article. So for example, it has all these AI words, and I actually have an article over on christophtrapp.com that talks about overused AI words, and here's alternatives, like other things.
Nice.
Like it's like transform, unlock, unleash,
Journey.
I haven't seen that one. Journey,
Yeah.
interesting. In today's landscape, in
Yeah,
Delph.
right.
I
Yeah.
swear I've never heard people use Delph in real life until AI came around. So,
Yeah.
But how do you make sure it writes in that tone? And I mean, do you really have success just doing one prompt when it's all together? I've never actually had that happen. Even when I have a good project set up, I still have to.
Yeah. So there's two things there. One is develop your exclusion list. So you, just like it with keywords, you're going to have a list of words that are excluded that you tell it to never use. So that can be usually I use that in the rewrite, but it could be pre-rewrite. Role, context, draft one of a specific activity. That's the first thing, and then from there, like let's say we're gonna write 6 blog posts for christophtrapp.com. Then I would say, please draft blog post number 1 on why podcasting is the best prospect generation tool in 2025. And so then I would get that single output from that series of prompts.
But where do you get the content? How do you know what to even write about? So the one thing I have a strong opinion on, and you talk me off the cliff if you want to, and we'll see if you save me here from this opinion. But I think when you go to tools and you just kind of like write something from wherever they get the information, I just don't think that's the way to go. I don't think that's the future of content creation. But where do you get the source content? So if you were to, so for example, we're going to take this episode, we'll throw it into Claude, we'll get it some ideas for stories, we'll match it with keywords. Sometimes there's more stories than one, more articles than one from a podcast, but this is the source material right here. It's not just going to Google or whatever and regurgitate stuff other people have already written about. So how does that work in your model?
I like to start with the trends, and for anything that's around trends, then I'll go to Perplexity, because those citations exist when you're running a Perplexity report. And so, for instance, in the same example, I'd say, please outline the 10 top podcasting trends in 2025. And one of them in 2025 will be solo episodes or monologue episodes. And so that would be the one I would grab. And I say, as a podcast marketing genius, please develop a blog post directed to listeners of the Business Storyteller Show, and draft 750 words with these keywords in this exclusion list, and then draft it.
What's explain the exclusion list to me? These are keywords that you don't want to have in there. These are words you don't want to use. How does
the words that we were just talking about that we don't like delve or journey or in today's dynamic marketing landscape or whatever, that list of stuff that's junk.
Got it. Interesting. And that works. I just always, when I do it, and maybe I'm using the wrong program, what's your go-to for content creation and content strategy?
So strategy wise, yeah, Perplexity I think is the best tool right now. It's very current, and it also, like I was mentioning, it's going to cite where it's getting information from, so you can dive a little bit deeper in there. And then, uh, like you, most content creators that I've spoken with are using Claude as a generation source for longer form content.
And we just wrote about the copyright law the other day, the copyright guidance that came out, and certainly they're saying that as long as there's human creativity involved and it's not just prompt writing, it's completely copyrightable. But where is that line, right? I mean, so when you and I are talking and we're turning this into an article or 2 or 8, I mean, certainly it's going to be my spin on the thing, right? It's going to be my leads, my openings, my everything. But when you do what you just described, how do you actually how do you make sure the human creativity was enough to be able to copyright it, or does it even matter?
Well, two parts to that, right? You always ask the best questions. Um, there's the first thing is that you're still going to get B level work out of these LLMs, right? So they're getting better. It used to be C minus level work, but now it's B. They're like a maybe a seventh grader, and so there's revision that has to happen in order to continue to make it a professional level. And the second part that I have is I'm not a legal scholar. I'm not a member of Congress, so I'm just gonna stick with the best practices that I have now, and those guys are gonna sort out where all this copyright stuff ends up.
And what are the current best practices that you follow?
Always to make sure I'm referencing previous work of my own as part of the source material, and then ensuring that I touch every piece of content created by a GPT, so that that it's on brand, B, that it uh, has the correct tone and good use of language, and that it's conveying the message that's important to me. So those are my practices, and I'd be interested to know how you're using that.
I mean, everything I do is based on my source content 100% of the time. I know, I've used HeyGen, for example. I got an article over on the blog. I don't know if I have any. Oh, yeah, I do have the link here. So if you guys want to check that out, click the QR code up here that goes to HeyGen, and you can literally create, like your own avatar. And I use that, but I write the script, right? It's from my source content or from an
Yep.
article or something. So I'm very, very particular. In fact, when I use Claude, I say there's no outside sourcing, there's no anything. You use this, what I send you. And that's so that's kind of how I get around and make sure I just use it really as a glorified typewriter to an extent. I'm a big fan of Perplexity, big fan. I go to Perplexity sometimes. I got submitted articles on christophtrap.com, and what happens is sometimes people quote numbers, so I literally just take that paragraph, put it into Claude, and literally just say, is this correct? And it'll come
Right.
back with the citations, or it'll say it's partially correct or it's completely correct. So that's kind of how I use these tools, really as shortcuts to get stuff done quicker that used to take a lot longer. So, hey, I got a question for you though. You have really leaned into the entire AI and marketing thing, right? I mean, when you
Yeah.
and I talked the last time, you didn't have a podcast yet. You were kind of looking into it. I think you were looking into perhaps doing one for your book or a different topic, and now you completely lean into AI and probably 2 books, right? Maybe on the topic, maybe another one in the works. But
Three.
talk
Yeah.
about
Three
that.
books.
3 books. Talk about that decision to lean so much into that topic.
Well, it was from my experience of how the tools like that we're talking about, how much leverage there was for time. And like you described, even if you're using it as a custom GPT with your material only, it is a amazing time saver, and it starts to produce the opportunity for small business to compete with mid and large businesses. So that and just the avalanche of information that's coming out, some of it's valuable, some of it's not valuable, and realizing that people were not um, testing what to a level that I thought we should be, considering how much leverage there is. And so it looked like to me like there was an opening for some leadership, to my clients and to the rest of the marketplace by becoming, by warehousing some of this information and some of these best practices. So that's why I jumped in.
There's definitely a learning curve for people, and what I've noticed is, I mean, I use different tools all the time for different things and try new things, and I'm always open to, we should try that. I mean, I think it's a Veed that allows you now, like if we're all looking around like this all the time, right? We could redo the whole episode, and it'll have us look at the camera, for example. It looks pretty good actually overall, but I'm always interested in trying different things, seeing what's working, seeing what's not, and when I do that, what I've realized is a lot of people, they don't actually know what is out there and what's working and how it works, and they can use it in their own life. So kudos to you for doing that. Now, what are some of the biggest misperceptions or issues that people have with using AI and especially working with AI?
I think it's just the fear, right? That's what always stops us, is the fear of it's going to take my job. It's going to take a long time to figure out and learn it. Where do I even go? I don't even know how to get started. So that's kind of on the why people are not adopting it. And then there's some people who are just using it in certain ways, and that's what I recommend in the trainings I do, is like just use it to plan your next vacation or to create a list of top 50 gifts you should get for your spouse. My wife, she had an assignment with one of her study groups. She needed a song for her past, a song for her future, and I'm like, well, throw that in with a link to your Facebook and LinkedIn, and ask chat what chat would recommend for you. So it's just about becoming familiar with it and using it in things that are not super critical, but getting used to being on the platforms.
Well, some people might say it's creepy, but we all think it's super innovative. I mean, I actually have a project in Claude for my girlfriend, right? And it's like, so I build it over time, and I still build it. It's like, this is what she eats at Jimmy John's. This is what she drinks at Napoli's, whatever. These are the things she cares about. And then over time, you can literally go in, and she does the same thing for me. You go in and you say, hey, birthday's coming up, blah, blah, blah. Give me some ideas. And then, you can you have to build on it, obviously, and then you have to look for them yourself. But it really it's a very low level effort, I guess, or low, what do you call it? I mean, there's no
low risk.
Low risk, unless your significant other doesn't understand it and it's going to say, you're cutting corners. But certainly you can do that. How else can you use AI in your daily life for people to kind of get started?
Well, the best thing is just to identify a few things that either you don't like doing, you're not good at, or you don't have people for, right? And if you can identify 3 or 4 of those things and then go to a website like Futurepedia.io, you'll find this warehouse of AI software, and you're like, I need help with my video editing. So we'll try Opus Clips, and we'll try Clipscribe, and we'll see which one produces a better series of shorts from this podcast, for instance. I think anything around email and uncomfortable emails that you have to send back to people, that's another great use where you can put in, as a highly emotionally intelligent HR manager, please rewrite this email that I need to send to my colleague about this topic, and this is what I have produced so far. And you get this you get this output, and then you have a chance to go through and say, wow, that sounds a lot better than what I would have said, or no, not this time, it missed the mark, and I'm gonna use what I started with. So it's just about testing.
It's very true. I mean, certainly there's some emails tools directly built into Outlook, Gmail, whatever, but I have used Claude for that too. Sometimes, I just write it how I would write it, which sometimes can be a little bit to the point for some people, or too much to the point for some people. I just go in there and I say, make this warmer, right? It's still want to get the point across, but make it warmer. So it certainly works for that. Hey, really great to see you back on the show. I mean, a minute or two here. Tell us who should reach out to you? Who do you work with? What's coming up next for you?
Appreciate that. Yeah. My ideal clients right now are companies that are looking to integrate AI deeper into their tech stack, maybe use it for outbound phone calls to get past due bills paid, or getting some parts of their marketing systematized and automated, and getting on this process of identifying challenges, finding a few solutions, testing and innovating what they're doing.
Fantastic. Nice to see you again, and we're out.
Good to see you, Christoph.
Thanks for tuning in. Please rate and review the Business Storytelling Show on your favorite podcast platform, and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.